for this afternoon's reflection, please welcome Prefect Tony Wu.
Good afternoon, Ridley. Oh, come on, let's try that again. Good afternoon, Ridley. Good afternoon. Okay, that's not really the energy we're looking for today. So, Ding's house, let's show them his house actually done, okay? Come with me. Whose house? Ding's house. Whose house? Ding's house. Whose house? Ding's house. By the way, Ada, that was the response to your Mandeville cheer last Friday, so. But on a real note though, several years ago, I would have never yelled in front of the public. I would be so utterly embarrassed of looking like a fool that I would probably just find a hole on the ground, crawl into it, and disappear. Yet, here I am today, making a fool of myself. And that's the topic of my Prefect reflection today, confidence. So, good afternoon, Mom, Dad who's watching online, Mr. Kidd, Mr. Postma, Mr. Hutton, faculty, and fellow students. My name is Tony, and for my Prefect reflection today, I want to talk about one simple topic: how to become confident. I never thought of myself as a very confident person. In fact, for a very long time, I have always considered myself to be shy and quiet. I felt like an imposter everywhere I went. I felt like an imposter back in China because in a country famous for its intense education, I kept failing my English class, as in getting a score in the 60s. I felt like an imposter when I first came to Canada because back in my old Ontario high school, I was the only Asian in my class and could never get those pop jokes. I would be literally searching who are the Kardashians under my desk in math class. When I came to Ridley in grade 10, I felt like an imposter too, because so many people around me had already known each other from grade 10 and grade 9, and moreover had so much extracurricular and life experience that I didn't have. Simply put, I felt like a fish out of water. Yet, several weeks ago, someone actually reached out to me and asked, "Tony, how can I be as confident as you?" And that was a shocking moment, like very shocking, because I just thought to myself, when did I start to become confident? To be honest, I'm still not really sure if they actually went to the right person, but it got me thinking how confidence has played an important role in my life. I think confidence is one of these important and significant qualities that we tend to ignore in high school because we're so immersed in all the academics, sports, extracurriculars that we forget we're also here to grow and mature. High school is when teenagers like us start to shape our identities, who we are, what we want, and who we should be. Yet, all we can think about is next week's math test or the next English assessment. So, in reflecting through my experiences, I had some realizations about confidence that I wanted to share with you today. The first tip I gained is very simple. Stop caring about others' opinions. Now, don't get me wrong, there are still moments where you need to care about what others think of you. Feedback is important and necessary to grow. However, what I've noticed among me and a lot of my friends is that we care so much about irrelevant details of ourselves that we begin to see ourselves through other people's eyes rather than our own. We care whether or not we look good enough or appear smart enough to other people. For instance, when I first came to Ridley, I felt insecure of myself compared to others. Therefore, I tried to do whatever I could to fit in. I would talk smart and serious among some of my friends, and at the same time become very easygoing and stupid intentionally with others. I put on a mask that changes its shape and color depending on who I was with. Then one day, I just got all tired of the changing. I think we all remember from COVID of how tiring putting a physical mask on your face is, but it's especially true when that mask is weightless and invisible. Pretending to be someone I was not drained me, and it wasn't a massive revelation. It wasn't a life-changing speech from my tough, loving basketball coach. I just ran out of the energy to do it. And you know what? It worked. Sure, I might not be the smartest or the most good-looking person in the room, but I was me. And with that change comes the realization that there are almost 8 billion people on this planet, and we meet thousands of people in our lives, each of which will have a different characterization of success, a varying perspective of who we are and our worth is. But there's one person whose perspective of ourselves is the most impactful. The person whose opinions we hear every day, from sunrise to sunset, and whose valuation of ourselves really affects who we become. That person is you. You are your biggest cheerleader, your most passionate critique, your best friend, or your worst enemy. If you're not even on your side, then no one else will ever be. We all want to be perfect, be the greatest, and we can, but it's you who set that definition, not others. Speaking of not being enough, my second insight: embrace failure, don't avoid it. Many times when we fear failing, we stop trying, so we never fail. But that causes a vicious cycle, and we are just stuck being insecure, always believing that we don't have what it takes, that we are bound to fail. I want to ask you something here. Have you ever felt like everyone around you was so much better, that they got better grades, or were more athletic on the sports team? And I want you to raise your hands right now if you ever felt like that before. Okay, I'm sure there's more than that, but I know this is also a sensitive topic, but even then, I want you to just remember, just remember how many people around you also raise their hands. The people who we think are better than us are very much in the same crowd, raising their own hands because they have experienced failures as well. And that's the bitter truth of it. We are bound to fail. No matter how smart, experienced, or motivated we are, it's going to happen. But the right way to deal with failure is not to avoid it, but to embrace it. Understand that failure is what builds you up, not tear you down. Okay, personally, when I tried different things in the past, I always felt like I was the worst in the room, which I probably was, because it was the first time I ever tried it. At my first debate tournament hosted by UOtterloo, out of 150 people, I was ranked the last 10. And some of the people who ranked lower than me didn't even compete for the whole competition. And I barely beat people who only did half of the tournament. Not only that, but the scores were publicly listed for everyone to see. I remember opening up my laptop to check the result and seeing Tony Wu 142nd. That tournament's website might as well being a list of shame, and I made it right to the top. I was crushed. And on my way home, I complained to my mom for the entire 1.5-hour drive about how I was never going to debate or public speaking ever again for the rest of my life. I must be very annoying. Sorry, Mom. But I have to give my mom the credit, though, because she made me realize that I was right where I needed to be. She was the one who kept me pushing until I got better and became the successful debater I wanted to be. When we see other people who do better than us, it's not because they were born with that ability. In reality, those people fail too, because everybody does. In fact, the most successful people probably have the most failure, but they had to go through these failures to get where they are today. The third place speaker at the tournament once ranked in the bottom 4. The first place speaker didn't do much better, and looking at our heroes is not much different. Walt Disney was fired from his job because he was told he was not creative enough. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 different publishers before she could publish Harry Potter. Henry Ford literally went bankrupt before he gained enough experience to launch Ford Motors. Failing is not shameful. In fact, it is seeking those failures that makes us great. To seek an opportunity that may be beyond you. To push for heights you've never reached before. To see a version of yourself that wins the unwinnable, that does the impossible, that goes against every piece of logic your brain ever told you. Just like what Winston Churchill said, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage that continues that counts. My fellow peers at Ridley, if I wanted you to take anything away from this speech, it's that you need to be the person that pushes you to the next step, not others. I want you to think about what opportunities you're currently turning away because you think other people are judging you. It's okay if these opportunities don't fit into the 8 billion different ideas of what success looks like. As long as they fit into yours, that's all that matters. I want you to think about the activities you were considering quitting because you felt you should be much further along than you are now. Take a second and find out whether you really don't have what it takes or if you're just 2 failures away from striking gold. If you could take anything away, it's that you need to be your own zealous, irrational advocate and believe in yourself despite what other people told you. And if you don't, I want you to know that I do. So go out there and take that chance. Thank you.